Issac Sanchez, Issac Sanchez, and I am a fire captain and PIO for Calfire San Diego.
All right. Can you tell us where we're at this point as we approach sunset?
Sure. Right now we're still sitting at 200 acres, about 5% contained. The forward rate of spread was declared stopped about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, which has really allowed everybody to kind of transition from an active firefight to constructing and improving containment lines.
Can you run down the numbers for us, the people evacuated and the apparatus people used?
Sure. Yeah, at its peak, we had about 20 homes that were threatened in the immediate area around the fire. During evacuations, the Sheriff's Department did contact about a dozen folks to let them know that there was a mandatory evacuation in effect. As far as how many people actually evacuated and went to Mountain Empire High School, which was set up as our temporary evacuation point, I don't have that information, but we did make contact with several residents in the area. In addition to that, at its peak, assigned to this incident, we had 4 air tankers, 3 helicopters, 25 engines, 10 hand crews, 3 dozers, and 6 water tenders for about 250 people assigned to this incident. And then, of course, that makes up that was spread out across all most agencies in the county, or several agencies in the county, in addition to Cal Fire. We had local government and federal cooperators also.
Help us understand. Of course, the strategy is no more than 10 acres, and that's what you want. This was not that case, and help us understand why.
Sure. So Cal Fire's operational philosophy statewide is to keep 95% of our fires under 10 acres, and we absolutely do. Most of our fires that happen in San Diego County never make the news media because we keep them so small constantly. But we do get several fires a week, but we don't report several fires a week, or at least the news media doesn't cover several fires a week because they simply don't garner enough attention. This one was an exception that fell within the 5% that will grow to more than 10 acres. It grew to 200 acres, and it was because of the alignment of fuel, weather, and topography on this incident. Initially, the fire wasn't doing much because there wasn't much of a wind, but once the wind did pick up in the area and start gusting, it was able to increase the size of the fire. And of course, if you look at the way the winds blow in the area, generally speaking, they blow out of the southwest, and this fire grew from the southwest to the northeast in a pretty textbook wind-driven fire. And in addition to that, you have the things like the topography, the hills that the fire burned through, and the fuels that were receptive to burning.
Any difficulties in any of this, or was it pretty status quo, knockdown?
Like I said, we like to keep our fires small. 95% of our fires under 10 acres. This one did not, and it was, again, in large part because of the alignment of the fuel, weather, and topography. The topography, like I said, hilly, rocky terrain, which always affects operations when it comes to firefighting. And then, of course, the temperatures, we were approaching 100 degrees at the time of ignition. And then, of course, as things cooled down and the winds kind of died down and humidity's slowly climbing, we were able to make good success, make strides on the fire.
Again, it was the air attack, you think, that can help us stay within 200 acres?
Sure. Air attack is only half the game, though. It's a combination. It's a coordinated effort between aircraft and ground resources. When you take one of those things away, and this fire is going to still burn. But because we have an aggressive initial attack, which includes air resources and ground resources working in coordination with one another, we're able to catch it the way we did.
And Issac, can you tell us what's going to happen tonight? Where are we at now, and what will happen overnight?
Sure. Tonight we're going to maintain a certain number of resources. I don't have that resource count just yet, but tonight we'll maintain resources on scene to further improve containment line, construct containment line, and then mop up and patrol.
Okay. So you think that all things considered, we'll be clear by tomorrow morning?
No, I think we'll have a significant increase in containment numbers, but again, because of the terrain that we're working in, we'll have a good increase in numbers by morning tomorrow, but probably not expecting this to be contained until tomorrow evening or maybe the next morning.
Got it. And the residents are allowed back in. What about traffic through La Posta?
La Posta Road is open to residents only between Highway 94 and La Posta Truck Trail. North of that, from Highway 180 to La Posta Truck Trail, is open to all traffic, but anything south of La Posta Truck Trail to Highway 94 is considered closed to non-residents.
And how long is that going to be?
It's constantly being evaluated, and I would imagine we'll have a decision as far as whether that's going to be opened here shortly.
Okay. Nobody injured?
No injuries to report and no damage to structures to report.
That's great.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Nice.
In terms of like evacuations and whatnot, did everybody, cooperate basically, I guess? And then part two to that would be, for people in the future, if they ever find themselves in this kind of a situation, are there particular things you guys recommend in getting ready, getting packed and ready to go, and
Sure.
that kind of stuff?
Sure, yes. As far as this incident specifically, I don't have hard numbers as far as who decided to stay and who decided to evacuate. Although, again, like I said, we did. The Sheriff's Department did contact about a dozen folks and recommend that they do evacuate. As far as what to do in the future, we always recommend that when the order comes to evacuate, that residents do just that. We do it for a reason, and it's not because we don't want anybody around. It's because there is an imminent threat from fire to life and property, and the less residents that we have around, the life that we have to protect, the more we can concentrate on the fire. But in lieu of that, in order to prepare for a future evacuation, we always recommend that folks maintain their defensible space and get their defensible space work in, but at the same time also have an evacuation plan in place so that if the order does come, they can evacuate in an orderly manner, as far as being able to have the important documentation that they need with them when they leave. And they can get tips on evacuation from ReadySanDiego.org and ReadyForWildfire.org.